Hi, welcome back to my channel. This is Domingo, and behind me on my workbench, I will start the assembly for my new project. Is my bulldozer version for the universal blade, and is a gift for all the people that have supported me buying my projects. Is the main support that I have for this channel, and thank you very much for those 216 people and growing that have bought only my bulldozer. I have like 300 or almost 400 people buying all my projects, and that's a huge support for me. And at the end of this video, I'm going to show you some amazing projects that people have made with my designs and versioning, even like scaling up all the projects. You guys are amazing. I want to do an emphasis on the electronics, since many people has been asking me how to do the electronics. Apparently it's not that clear, so I will do an emphasis on this assembly videos series on the electronics. These are going to be all the electronic components that we are going to need to assemble this universal blade version of the bulldozer. There are less electronic components here because there are less actuators. So in this case, this version is cheaper to build than the variable angle blade version. Starting with the battery, I found a better version, this compact version, over the previous version that I was using, and is even better because this one is 3000 milliampere and this one is 3300 milliamperes. So I have more capacity and in a small package. So that's really important because this is going to be here on this position on the bulldozer, this position, and we don't want this wire to be pushing up the engine cover. And this one was kind of like this, almost on the top of the bulldozer. We have here some connectors, and these are TX60, and they are the matching for the default connector that is here on the battery. And this one is the same female here, so I had to change it by this one. We have here the ESCs for each of the motors, and the motors using here are this one, 5A40555. And on this case, I bought the 40 revolution per minute instead of the 80s. Because on the other version I have to lower the speed of this motor. So I want to try only what about if I get by default the ones that are lower revolutions, and I don't have to be tweaking down the limits for the radio control. These ESCs are the 1060 clones, and I think they are like $12 each, and they provide 60 amperes, so that's more than enough to drive these motors here. I have never had an issue with these ones, so here you can save some money. Next, I have this dual ESC, and this is 5 ampere by 2. So I have here the two actuators that are there are going to be driven by this ESC. So here I have the part that connects to the receiver, and then this is the power that it will be joining these 3 power inputs here. Next, this is the receiver. It's a 6-channel, but this one also provides iBus communication protocol. So with this iBus communication, I'm going to connect that to this microcontroller is a ESP32, and this is the board sold by the DIY guy 9999. So he open sourced this, and he has a software to convert this one into a sound module, and that's the way that the sound module that I use. So here, let me take this camera out. Here you have the microcontroller, you have the board, then you have here a voltage regulator, and this is an amplifier for this speaker that is going to modulate that sound, engine sound. Here is a potentiometer for tweaking the volume, and this is the input for the board. And here are some pins that are needed to mount this one into the board and take it out, replace in the future. Then we have here also the radio. Against the actuators are going to put all this spec on the build manual. Some wiring to connect all this. That's all the electronic in a summary. Now I will start connecting all these together. I'm going to start assembling the ESP32 sound module, and the first component that I'm going to solder is this terminal that gets the power from the battery. So it has to be facing these terminals out, because otherwise you will have to connect the cables here through below the microcontroller. So it has to be this way. The potentiometer has to be assembled this way, with the not to change the value to the corner of the baseboard to avoid having issues with the microcontroller. These are the pins that we had to solder to connect all the wires to the board. And I'm going to only connect the parts for the lights here, and the parts for the iBus on the receiver, that it will receive the signal. Because I'm not going to use these other ones. This is the progress so far. So we have the output for the LEDs, the input for the iBus on the receiver. And now I'm going to put the pins for this voltage regulator. That is the one that regulates the volts from the battery down to 5 volts to supply voltage to the LEDs. And then this one is the amplifier. So these ones need to have a pair of pins here in each one. And the way that we do it is we put it like this, and we start soldering like that, and then we assemble it back here. There is a polarity here on the board that says to which side we had to put it, and then we solder it back here. We can use the same board as a JIT for doing this job. So we put these ones here, and then we mounted it here and we can solder it directly here. Here we can see how the pins are attached to the voltage regulator. I had to clean up these pins here and then put it in the correct location. I will do the same thing with the amplifier. This one is how it looks like, the amplifier. Here we have the input voltage, 5 volts, and then here is the low signals for the audio, and these are the high signals amplified for audio for each speaker. Let's do the assembly now. For this part on the voltage regulator, you see an arrow and it says in, negative, positive, and out, negative, positive. So that one will match with what we have here on the board. So we have in, positive, negative, so we have to put this one that, and this is the out part. And that way. And we have now to solder this. And with that, we solder all our voltage regulator here. Now we have to continue with the amplifier. This is the two circuits together with the baseboard. It's time now to put the pins to put this one here. Like it can be attached or disattached. When you're cutting these components, always cut it leaving one more, because it's probably that the pin where you're cutting is going to get affected and disappear. And then you can clean this part and not worrying of being short for one only and then need to scrap the whole part. So this way we have these two now to solder. And those ones goes here. And here. And we can use the same circuit as a way to put it here and keep it aligned. And with this, we have completed the assembly for the sound and light module. We only have to download the software in this microcontroller, and then we attach it here. We have to connect the power cables here and have it ready to connect it to the rest of the, connect it with the battery. I have made a cover, 3D printed one, to protect the back of the baseboard of any short circuit, and I have put these screws here think these are 2.5 millimeter. Then I have soldered the tip of this wire here, and I'm going to use it to put it into the board power in. This is the ground here. Okay, these two wires are going to take power from the battery to this circuit that is going to regulate to 5 volts and enable the voltage for all the LEDs. These are the motors, and we have to start connecting both together using these pins. It is time now to start connecting the ESCs to the motors. One first thing that we have to correct here is these jumpers for setting up the ESC. So we have to take out this jumper to leave it as a forward reverse. Forward braking and reverse or forward braking. And then these are the two wires that goes to the motor, and these two are the battery one. I'm going to take these two here, so maybe I can use this for another thing. But these two are going to be connected to the motor. Let's see. Now let's take it off. Then we have to put some heat shrink covers, and here you see that is the positive and the negative. So this one goes like this. And then with that, we already connect our first ESC here. We have to put the covers and then apply some heat with the same heat source. And our first ESC is wired to the motor. It's going to be like that and like that. Okay. One thing that we have to take in consideration is that these ESCs, they send back voltage or power to the receiver, and only one of those has to send that voltage back to the receiver. So this one we can leave the 3 wires, but in this one we will disconnect this red wire out of this one to prevent that these 2 ESCs send the voltage to the receiver. I will solder the other one and then we will continue. I'm taking now all these connectors because they are not the same one of my battery, and I have to solder this wire together also. Taking this part here. And I'm going to put some solder here so they will be ready to be joined with the other ones. Now all these wires are going to be together, so I had to put these two wires together under this one. Together with this that is for the ESC, for the ESP32. I also have to take out this connector here, since this is the ESC for the arms. It's time now to connect all these wires together. With some heat now we shrink this to protect the joint. And with that we have finished this soldering part. And this is a connector for the battery. And now this part connects to the receiver. These are the ESCs. And these two wires connect to the actuators. I'm going to start now with the assembly of the speaker on the front of the bulldozer. And here we have some space to put some weight under the speaker magnet. I have also prepared this wire for the speaker with this connector. And this connector is going to go on the output of the amplification output of the ESP32. These are all the way that I have added here. And now I'm going to connect the wire. Okay, the speaker is not going to move anywhere. And here we have the wire for the sound module. With this piece of plastic from container, I cut a little strip here, and then I sanded it a little bit, and I put it inside this piece that are the headlights for the bulldozer. Now we can start assembling the front of the bulldozer here. These are 2x6 screws. Check that all the screws are good. And then we continue with the grill. Before doing that, I assembled this piece together with this one. Now we have the front of the bulldozer ready. The full details for the headlights. This is the front of the bulldozer assembly finish. Here I had to add the LEDs, but that I can do that for later. Continuing with the assembly for the main chassis. This is the bottom of the chassis. And this is an aluminum bar with some measuring here. I have this one on the manual, so you can make it out of aluminum or you can send it to laser cut, but it's really easy to make and it's all on the instruction manuals. So this is the equalizer bar and it goes here on this bar, and then it gets secured with this screw here. I can just pre-assemble one of the sides and one of the motors and the motors here. And you see all this part, free space here, I'm going to fill it with weights. At this stage, we have completed filling up the gap with weights, and now it's really heavy. I have prepared here the wiring for the LEDs, and they are wired in parallel, and there is a resistor here of 100 ohms, and this is a connector that I attach here. This one goes here. I'm going to use some super glue to put it there. Following the instruction, we have to start attaching one of the motors to one of the sides. It's going to take this size and it's going to start assembly here. I will prefer the screws that has the round head, but since I'm run out of those, I'm using these ones. Taking these two threaded rods, and these are M3 by 79 millimeters with their nuts here. We have to put one of the lateral ones, and we have to enter the lateral into the equalizer bar, and then the back side here of the dozer. Assemble it this way and put these rods, threaded rods here and here. These M3 nuts are going to go here on the bottom, and those nuts are going to be secured with these M3 by 8 screws. I'm using now this tiny M2 by 8 millimeter screw to secure this part here on the bottom. And I'm going to use also an additional nut for that. So here's the nut. and also this M2 by 4 screw here to secure this part here. It's M5 by 190 rod, threaded rod into this part here. Two M4 by 79 millimeters threaded rods. And this one is going to go here on the bottom, this part here. And then this one with this additional piece is going to go here. And of course we have to use thread lot for those nuts. We can now start installing the side panel. Let's do some testing now to see if it's nothing fry. We can connect the battery for a short period of time and see if everything working fine. So you see the two ESCs, they are working. Also this one here. And before connecting the receiver, we have to select the correct model in our transmitter. And we have to take these red wires, all of these ones, they are going to send voltage or current to the receiver. So we have to disconnect all of them less one to have one only sending power to the receiver. So let's do right now. I will take this one. I always left space here just in case that I want to reconnect it again. So we take this one down. And then this one also. And that way, only this ESC is going to send power to the receiver. The particular method to pair with the remote control this receiver, and this is the FlySky FS AI 6B, we have to put this jumper here on the BCC part and have it there. We have to turn on the radio with this button pressed here, that this is the binding function. But of course we have to connect it. So now we have to connect the receiver, and this is the polarity way to connect it. This white wire is the data one, and this is power, the red one. So we put the data up, and then we connect the battery.
and you see it's flashing now. And then we turn on the radio with this and says binding OK, and we have the data from the receiver. So now we can take the jumper off, and you notice that the LED is solid here. And if we move that one, you see that now we have current here. I'm moving this on channel 1. Awesome. On here is I move these two ESCs to channel 3 and 4. And so to control these motors with only this one here. And we are going to modify this one with some mixing or mixes of the different channels. So far, this looks really similar to the V angle blade version, but now we had to start working on these actuators. That is going to be the different part for this Dozer version. This is the actuator for the blade, and this is the actuator holder. So we had to open it here and pass this actuator over this part here. And then with 4 and 2x8 screws, we secure this one here. And the nuts. And you decide where you want to have the nuts facing out or the bolt heads. What I mean is that if you want the nuts to be out, or you want to put the bolts over here and then the nuts here on the back. I have my 2 actuators ready now. And these are the 3D printed pieces to secure the actuators. And I have here M3 screws. And I previously threaded here or screwed it into the pieces to have it ready. And I'm going to use some washers, so M3 washers, and this combination to secure these actuators to the bulldozer body. Since this connector is not going to enter through this hole that is the designated to pass through, then I had to cut it off like that. And then this goes here. I'm putting this washer here inside this screw. And then through this mounting hole here. We add now this wash, then the actuator, then another wash, and then this 3D printed piece. Having the 2 wires for the actuators already peeled off, I'm going to proceed to solder with these two terminals for the dual ESC. I had to take this one off and solder these ones. With this, we can connect the dual ESC to the receiver now. And this is really important to connect this one. If we have a dual channel and we are going to use only one channel, it is important to connect this one because this one has the neutral one. This one only have the data. If you connect this one only to connect only one channel, it will start creating some errors and not controlling well the servos or the actuators. Is controlling the actuators with this one. The remaining connections that we need to do to finalize the electronics is having this servo extension. We have to connect it here to the iBus, and I think it's this way. And then this is going to be connected here. There is some signals here and some labels here that it will tell you where is the signal and where it has to go. So it will be something like that. And then this part here are the remaining light connections. And it will be something, you have to see here what is the polarity. So this rail here is the 5 volts and this is the negative. So all the red parts are going to be like this. And here also it has labels for what are the headlights or the auxiliary lights or fog lights. So you put here, you select here where you put, for example, the headlights. And that is the remaining electronics. I think we have achieved good progress on this video. Now we will jump over the different versions for the variant angle blade version of the model that I have and all the different modifications and builds that people have done. This build is really impressed. He has scaled up the bulldozer to 1/8 of scale instead of 1/14, and you can see here a side comparison. This is a hands, and he make a patina wearing. Really amazing job on the tracks. Look all that oxidation. It's really a scale. Amazing also on the blade, the paint job. This is Jordan build. He has really shiny tracks on his Dozer, and this is only a few of the makers that have built my projects. This is only an example. On the Facebook group you can find all the videos and photos additionals for different builds.
we help each other. It's a big community and really great community. It has been a lot of work designing and improving and fixing any problems on these bulldozers and the other projects also, but it's a lot of satisfaction also when I see all your builds and the different versions, color schemes and awesome things that you guys have done with this project. I really enjoy that, and I only can say thank you again for all your sports and all the amazing things that we build together. Leave me any comments or additional questions on the comment section below, and also subscribe to the channel. That will help me a lot, and give a thumbs up to this video to support more content like this. And I will see you on the video number 2, the continuation for the U-blade on this dozer.